In today's video, we discuss Plato's The Allegory of the Cave, presented in his work, Republic. Plato uses the term allegory as it is a literary or artistic device where characters, events, and settings function as symbols, representing abstract concepts, moral principles, or historical or political situations beneath a literal story. An allegory acts as an extended metaphor or story within a story, allowing authors to convey hidden meanings, often to critique society or teach lessons indirectly. The allegory of the cave can be divided into three parts: the initial imprisonment in the cave, the departure from the cave, and the return to the cave. In the first part of the initial imprisonment, Plato describes people who have spent their entire lives chained by their necks and ankles, in front of an inner wall with a view of the empty outer wall of the cave. They observe the shadows projected onto the outer wall by objects carried behind the inner wall by people who are invisible to the chained prisoners and who walk along the inner wall with a fire behind them, creating the shadows on the inner wall in front of the prisoners. The sign bearers pronounce the names of the objects, the sounds of which are reflected near the shadows, and are understood by the prisoners as if they were coming from the shadows themselves. Only the shadows and sounds are the prisoners' reality, which are not accurate representations of the real world. The prisoners watch the stories that these shadows play out, and because this is all they can ever see, they believe that these shadows are the most real things in the world. When they talk to one another about men, women, trees, horses, and so on, they refer only to these shadows. The second part, or the departure from the cave, tells us that one of the prisoners is released from his chains. After initial pain and disbelief, he eventually realizes that all these things are more real than the shadows he has always believed to be the most real things. He grasps how the fire and the statues together caused the shadows, which are copies of the real things. He now takes the statues and fire as the most real things in the world. Next, this prisoner is dragged out of the cave into the world above. At first, he is so dazzled by the light in the open that he can only look at shadows. Then he is able to look at reflections. Then finally at the real objects: real trees, flowers, houses, and other physical objects. He sees that these are even more real than the statues were, and that those objects were only copies of these. Finally, when the prisoner's eyes have fully adjusted to the brightness, he lifts his sights toward the heavens and looks at the sun. He understands that the sun is the cause of everything he sees around him, of the light, of his capacity for sight, of the existence of flowers, trees, and all other objects. The third and final part, the return to the cave, we are told that the freed prisoner visits the cave again to share his new insights to his prisoner friends, still in chains. He wants to convey the real beauty of the world and all that he has seen, not the shadows cast on the wall, but nature as observed in the sunlight. When his friends listen to all this new information, they believe that the journey to the outside has dulled his senses and corrupted his perspective. They cannot accept something that is not in line with their core beliefs and experiences. The prisoners in the cave are happy with the reality presented in its current form and disregard the perspective of a different person. The freed prisoner, who was once sharing a reality with his friends, now is distanced because of his newfound knowledge of reality. This condition is beautifully encompassed by Carl Jung in his quote, "If a man knows more than others, he becomes lonely." This deep insight suggests that possessing unique knowledge, profound understanding, or seeing truths that others do not creates an isolating intellectual barrier that makes it difficult to relate to the surrounding world. What do you infer from The Allegory of the Cave? Do you think the allegory is still relevant today? Let us know in the comments. Thank you for your continued support to our channel. Your feedback is essential for us to present content that is relevant and engaging.